welcome to another installation of the Gun Brothers. We're coming to you live today with a 1972 model 1894-22 lever action rifle.
Alright, I'm gonna just do a quick tear down on it to show you how to clean it. We shot it today and put about 200 rounds through it. I'm not gonna clean the barrel or inside of the barrel because I don't have a bore snake and I don't feel like getting the parts out, so I'll just show you how to take it apart. I hate when my rifles have the flat heads or even the Phillips heads reamed out or anything, so I'll be using the best fitting screwdriver, plus I'll put a patch or a little piece of cloth over it so I don't scratch it. Just gonna find that, make sure I'm in it, break it loose. Before you get that all the way out, cock the hammer. So that's out. This is the only screw that holds this action together on the 94-22s. So that'll break apart. Now you can release the hammer. Don't dry fire it. Just let it go slowly. So that's ready to be cleaned. Now the bolt comes out, just slides right out of the back. Careful when you're taking it out because the piece that has the extractor will lift off, and there's one pin that just slides out. And this pin is what, if it's centered, holds on to the bolt. And then it slides right back in. So we'll pull that out, pull the pin out. It's ready for a basic wipe down after a day of shooting. I like to wipe all the old grease off. Should bring the majority of the dust off after a day of shooting. That's good. Ready for some new oil. Pull the paint off. Clean this off. If you take the time to make sure you don't screw these up, it'll make your gun look a lot better, and if you ever go to sell it, it'll make you look like you weren't a lazy guy who didn't know what he was doing to his guns. Get all the junk off. Get all the residue from the rounds going off. Make sure everything's nice and clean, which it is. At this level of only having about 200 rounds through it, I won't need a brush or anything crazy. I just get the majority of it off. Go inside of the receiver. Get a good wipe on all of that. At this point, it'd be a good time to run a brush down the bore and get all the stuff out, since 22s are pretty dirty rounds and they leave a lot of junk inside. Clean that up. I'll get some oil and do the outside of the receiver. Work for me. Moving on to this. Get all the old oil off of it. All the moving parts. You could hit all this stuff with a brush if you wanted to, but we didn't do anything crazy today. These old Model 94 22s are very simple. Winchester made them look a lot like a lever, like the traditional 94s, but there's just one moving part inside as far as the lever goes, which is cool. And that just, as you cycle that back, moves the bolt. I think it rides on this actually. Moves the whole bolt back. Lets another round come in and puts it in the chamber. So that's about it for getting all the old junk off. Not bad. So put the pin back in. Make sure it's centered. It only goes one way, so you can't put it back together wrong. This just drops in, centered, slides in. Really tight tolerances on these old guns. I love them. So that's in. You can re-oil all these little moving parts. I'll put it back together, cycle it, and just get some parts of the bolt, since it's just going to be sitting in the safe. So to reassemble, now that the bolt's in, really carefully put this back in, and then you'll move this as you play with it and find where it wants to sit, and it'll click together. And I always put the bolt back in with the action open a little bit, because if you click it closed, it wants to force that out, and then you have to hold it. So it wants to be put together like this. So line those up, drop that back in. That's the reason I use the cloth, because I could have just put a chink or a mar into my receiver. Make sure I'm not threading that in. So that's done. Now you can lock this. The hammer go. What I'll do now is put the straw back on this and just put a little bit on the bolt on the top and bottom and the sides if you like. A little bit on the top. It's too much. A little bit on the bottom. A little bit on this side. If you have too much oil and you go out in the field and you're shooting in a dusty environment, you're gonna end up creating some sort of mud almost if you have way too much oil, but just enough to keep it oiled while it's in the safe is plenty. Get another piece and oil this up a little bit to keep the receiver on the outside. Get all my finger oils off of it. I like to put them away with no fingerprints in them. We'll also take a clean one with no oil and wipe down the wood to get all the dust and oil off. And this is a good way to keep them from rusting while they're just sitting in your safe or sitting in the closet. Put the fingerprints off. I do the same to the barrel. Everywhere that gets touched while you're shooting them. I don't know if this is stainless or just some steel that's spun on a lathe. You can feel the marks in it, the little spin pattern, but a little oil on there. This tube holds 15 .22 long rifle. You can chamber one have it in there, have it on half cock, and put an additional. So it's 15 plus 1. You can hold a total of 16. But after I wipe down the stock, the grip, this thing will be ready to go to sleep. Keep them in these gun socks just because I don't want to bang up these furniture. And this is ready to go back in the safe.